All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops.
Coach, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good, Love October. Love Halloween. I've had this
Halloween,
discussion
yep.
with you, but I love Halloween.
We're starting the big climb, right? Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, right? It's the big climb right here now.
Oh, it is. I never thought of it. It is the big climb, especially
Yeah.
when you have kids at home.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
When
Yeah.
they're youth kids, it's like, oh my God. It was like from Thanksgiving, then they'd have all the sugar high from Halloween all the way to Christmas. I know.
Well, as we're starting, yeah, right. And we got the basketball season, right? A lot of youth teams and are starting
All of that.
fall and
Yeah.
all the states anyway, right?
All
So
right.
um
Yes. So today we're talking about I actually was one of these parents at one point. Not really, but
oh,
kind of.
oh, I can't wait to hear that story.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you
we're
that
talking
story.
about again, this is part two of the three-part series. If you missed the uh part one of kind of the parent communication and dealing with parents, go listen to the last episode. But this is part two. This one is a very specific issue that I hear a lot that comes up. And again, we're doing this into three parts because this is the number one issue we heard from our coaches in our Facebook group about what they're struggling with, and it is the parents. And a lot of times they just say parents. Yeah, they don't get much, right, feedback other than, oh my gosh, the
Yes,
parents.
and if you say
That was the
anything,
best
yes.
response. So
Yeah,
yeah.
if you what's the hardest thing? Parents,
Parents.
parents, parents. It's usually parents, comma, parents, comma, parents is what they
Yeah.
say. Yes, yes.
So we want to address specific issues that have come up, and how do we handle them, give you some tips on how to do that. So this one in particular is about how do you work with that parent or parents who are coaching their kids from the stands. We've all been there. We've all heard that player.
Actually,
That
I take
parent.
it back. This was not me. This was me more talking to the officials from the sideline than the parent. But yes, anyway.
Well, kind of the same thing,
Then
right?
kind of it is kind of that well, it could probably fall into it.
Coaching from the sidelines, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
before we jump into the topic, want to give a shout out to Game Changer. Coaches go to gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Game Changer is a great tool if you're looking to collaborate with parents, since we're talking about that. Send out schedules, share stats, video, live video. It is my number one tool in my toolkit that I use to enhance the product that I'm delivering to parents. So
Right.
gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Go check it out.
All right. Let's do that. All right. Sideline. So sideline parents or sideline
Let me paint
coaches.
the dream scenario though. It's like
Okay.
you, yeah, right? We all, as coaches, we want this, right? You're coaching, the parents are just cheering the team, cheering the individual
Positively.
positively,
Yes.
right? You're this the just they're saying amazing things about you. The energy is positive, right?
Right.
That is the holy grail, right? This harmonious environment they're trying to create, right? But
In reality.
the reality is, right? Uh, we want parents who are engaged, who are invested, right? Because
Right.
it helps us succeed as well. But we don't want the negative energy that comes along with it. And we all know the issues that can come up when parents are coaching from the stands.
Right.
The classic scenario where I just told there's a couple seconds left on the clock. We just called a timeout. I told the kids to hold on to the ball to secure the win. Okay. The little Johnny is wide open, could drive, could shoot. He's wide open. Mom and dad are yelling from the stands, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. Right? So now Johnny is really confused. Coach told me not to. My mom or dad are yelling, shoot the ball. Right? And what do you do in that situation? What do you do as a child? What do you do as a coach? And it's really hard on the kids.
It's very hard on the kids. And I don't know how you dealt with this, but I usually had a parent meeting early and talked about that. I said, if they're hearing two voices, it's hard for them. You want to make
Yeah.
it, and I've had to have this coach with assistant coaches, even like that
Mm,
sometimes are parents. Um, but I think the communic how you communicate to the parents early, um, is important. I've had to also deal with ones that you communicate and they still don't 100% get it, and then I'm going to have some individual discussions and conversations and challenging things at that point. But I would say 95% of the stuff was taken care of early. It's like they're here to have fun, they're here to learn. It's better if they hear one voice. There's not four teachers in a classroom. Usually there's one, and the one teacher, it's like, I'm the teacher here. And then blah, blah, blah. It's kind of used an analogy in the classroom. It's like, um,
yeah.
but I think that tends to work, that you have to have some sort of plan or strategy with communication.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's a couple of things that I always talk about. I I say one, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make a mistake in the game. Okay. But we want one voice during a game to heat off this confusion with the kids. And I always say for the whatever 60 minutes of the game, I have them. They're mine. They're my responsibility. They need to hear the one voice. And that's fair enough to say to parents. And you can dive into this confusion. Like it's really confusing. And, I explained this scenario that I did up front, which is I told them one thing, you're telling them another. Both are true, but I have they should be listening to me when they're on the court. And there's 101 ways to coach this game, right? And that goes back to the kind of what's your philosophy and what's your strategy, right? You don't know what we just said. You don't know what their capabilities are as a team like I do because I'm with them in practice.
Right.
So I
And you
need to
don't
be
always know what we've talked about in practice and what we're where our decisions are. And especially as they get higher up in the levels and stuff, I think that's an important, but I think I think the communication aspect of it can really take a lot of it off your table. Most coaches get in, this is what we talked about last week, but most people, this is where they get into a problem is they don't communicate, you know,
yeah.
here's
Yeah.
here's my boundaries, here's what I expect. And, and they don't have a meeting. And sometimes, especially with the older kids, I'll have the meeting with the kids. I don't tend to do
Yeah.
that at the elementary level, but the older ones, I want the kids and the parent to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, exactly. I usually don't have a parent meeting unless the kid is there. I think that's really important, right? That they're hearing it. Uh,
Right.
and so there isn't this, well, coach said, and then right? It's like, no, the kid is hearing the same thing. They may interpret a little bit differently, but I think it goes back to exactly the common theme across these next 3 weeks, these next three podcasts is communication. And, setting up front that I have them for that 60 minutes in a game, and they need to hear one voice, and just doubling down on that aspect of confusion, right? I just told them not to do something, you're telling them to do something. It's very hard for a kid. They know if they do that opposite thing that they may sit, but if they don't listen to you, you may, could be a
Right.
disciplinary
It might be a
situation,
problem.
right? Yeah.
Before we go on and talk about some of the other aspects, Coach, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors, talk about our practice plans and our and game changer. And let's do that right now.
Yeah, coaches, go check out gc.com/coaching youth hoop. It's a great free app you can use to manage your team, uh, create game film, stats. It's everything you need really to manage your back office of your team. And coaches, Steve and I have taken all the trouble out of creating practice plans for you. Again, you're going to leverage our 50 years of combined experience, knowing what works, what doesn't. We took out all the fluff. We have a plan for you. So go check it out at coachingyouthhoops.com. Find your grade and download a practice plan. They're already done for you.
Yeah. we're old. Is that what that's what I take away when you say that, coach?
Yeah, age is just a state of mind,
Okay.
coach.
That is true. That is true. I can ask my 86-year-old mother that. She'll tell you that true. It's like it is a state of mind. All right, what else, coach, as far as dealing with parents and stuff? So we talked about um our communication, we've talked about setting boundaries with parents and stuff. Um, what else?
Well, I think, and it goes back to your question. How do you deal with that parent who, okay, did all that? Now what do you do? They're still not getting it. I have in the past, of course, approach them with their, together with their, like we said before, approach them with their player and say, remind them one on one more time, right? Here's my expectation. It's really hard. And then the third time, I'll tell them, look, if you want to talk to your daughter or your son, I'm going to pull them out of the game. They're going to sit right here on the bench and you can just go whisper in their ear for the rest of the game. Because now you can talk to them and you don't have to shout, right? You don't have to shout anymore. They're going to be
Right.
right here.
Hmm.
Right. And if that still doesn't work, then it's like, look, if you can't be quiet, you can't come.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you have to get like that, or don't, if you're doing a, a invite only type of team, then it's, don't have them back on your team. Even I don't
Right.
care how good they are if it's causing problems, right? Because
And the
what that
problem is
one person becomes two, becomes three, becomes right, and then
it grows
grows.
exponentially. And it's
Yeah,
also, as a youth coach, you are a teacher. As a parent, you're a teacher. I
that's
don't
right.
care what you say, but this is like you're impacting more than just your athlete. I think that's an important thing to remember and to convey. It's like this isn't, you're not only impacting your child, but you're impacting the other children and maybe the ability of the officials, maybe the ability of me to do all these people are trying to do their jobs. And um it's hard to do that.
Yeah, it's hard to do that. Yeah, exactly. Or, it's a really good point where you have, Johnny's parent is yelling at Johnny, but Tommy thinks it's his dad, or he thought it was me. And because, crazy game situation, and Tommy has the ball, and or Johnny just passes it to Tommy, and Tommy, just is finishing. And John, anyway, it causes it like, right, just a lot of confusion, not only for your own child, but for everybody. So let the coaches have a conversation after, and this is talking directly to the parents, right? Have that conversation. If you're a coach and you're at another sport, keep your mouth quiet in the stands, right? You model the behavior again that you want, um, for all parents. So don't expect, if you're yelling and screaming at the volleyball game and now you're the basketball coach and expect parents to be quiet, you can't have it both
No,
ways.
you can't have it both ways. All right, let's
Um,
give everybody a summary here, coach. I think we've
Yeah,
got
so again, number one thing is just communicate. Communicate those boundaries, what you expect. Let them know that, hey, I got them for the 60 minutes during the games. They have to listen to me, otherwise it's going to cause confusion. Explain that. Be very deliberate in that because it is going to happen.
right.
They're going to be coaching from the stands. And as a parent, I know I want to, tell my son to do X or my daughter to do Y.
Or
Uh,
not do something, to do
or
something,
not
or
do
not do
something.
something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Again, going back, keep those
And
lines
there's
of,
a scale. If all the parents are yelling foul because we have to commit a foul to put them in the free throw, I mean, there's different. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like at the end of the game, and we're down one, and there's 12 seconds to go, and we need to foul, and everyone knows we need to foul. Then there's
Well, if I'm calling foul, now if
yes,
the kids aren't doing it and they don't, then it's so right.
right. That's what
But
I'm
I
saying.
still have the lead.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. But I'm
Yeah.
saying there are
Yeah.
times where we need your help, but those are rare, rare. But
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking of. Is like there's because there's a loud gym. Sometimes you need some help. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
And I guess at the end of the day, just set a policy, whatever that is. Like, if you don't mind them yelling at their kids, okay. But, uh, but be upfront about whatever you want and what the expectation is. You get a warning. Second time, you're going to get asked to leave. Third time, whatever it is, you're suspended for, or your child won't play. Your child isn't going to play. Right. So, whatever those, you got to set some, if it becomes an issue, set those boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. Keep going. Is that it, coach? You were doing the summary. Did you summarize them all?
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. So just is the communication, set the boundaries with the parents, have whatever the policy is that you're going to do. So it's very clear.
Okay.
Warning, right?
Yep.
Bench, right?
Whatever it's going to be.
You're gonna ask.
And let's give a big shout out to Game Changer again. You can go check it out.
Yeah, go to gc.com/coaching youth hoops. It's a
All
free
right.
app. Go
Till next
download it.
week, coach.
Next week.